Welcome once again to the Coach Damon Floyd Coaches Show here on the Bear Network and also on the Buzz 101.3, as always brought to you by Lost Margaritas on 25th Street. We appreciate their support. Anytime you need some good Mexican food before or after the game, check them out, Lost Margaritas. Last week, congratulations on your win at Finley Stadium and a home game, we call that, over Brainerd last week. Season opener always shows you some things you really need to improve on, some things that you were pleased with, and players you can rely on. And I guess opening game, they always say it's better, more improvement between first, second game, I guess, than any time during the season. But your thoughts on the game last week?
Well, like you mentioned, that's the old football cliche, is you improve, the most from your first, second game. I hope that happens. We made a lot of, just critical mistakes at crucial times. For example, on offense, I think they stopped us on 3 4th and shorts. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, we were in the red zone and going to put up more points. So that was frustrating. It's really hard, and especially for me. I mean, as a coach, you just look at the negative. You're focused on the negative. You don't think about the positive. And honestly, after the game, I was so frustrated. It felt like almost like a loss. And I go back in the locker room. We talk to the kids. And then I look at the stats, and then we watch the video and realize defense, we held them to 3 first downs. Mm-hmm. As the game's going, you don't realize that.
Yeah.
You got to give Brainerd credit. Look, they have some players that are very talented. And, our depth wore on them, so that's probably the major factor in the game. But it's game one, and, it's usually like that every year. You make some mistakes that, you got to improve on, and that's what we're working hard right now to improve on. But we've got a long way to go, for this next game.
Well, we've talked before about this. This is a very, very young team. Is this the youngest team you've ever had in your 16 career?
I've had this question earlier. I guess it was yesterday. And, we started 4 freshmen last year. This year we have 2 freshmen starting. So those 4 freshmen that started last year are now sophomores. So that's 6 guys that are 9th or 10th grade in 6A football. I do want to stress that's not an excuse. My first 15 years, we had 1 freshman start, and that was Bryce Copeland. So we like the future of those guys starting early, but it's not by design. I had that question as well. Is that something that you're trying to do? No, it's those guys are talented enough to play on every Friday night on 6A, but you'd like to have a team full of juniors and seniors. That's not the case. So we will not use that as an excuse. And I told our freshmen, sophomores, that are playing, you're not freshmen, sophomores. You're varsity football players. Mm-hmm. So it's not an excuse. We don't use the term young because, to me, if you're a high school senior, you're young, by age. Yeah. So are they inexperienced? Yes, but it is what it is. There's other people that are playing with inexperienced players too. We got to get them ready to go. And when you line up on Friday night, nobody cares how old they are.
Well, the old saying is that the good news is they're young, the bad news is they're young, because there's some growing pains, just like trying to raise a child, I guess, if you're on. From a fan's point of view, looking back, like you say, you were not happy at the end of the game. But looking back, your defense, 3 first downs for the game, and 2 pick sixes by 2 sophomores that you mentioned there.
Yes.
That had to make you feel good about how the defense played, I think.
It did, and that's what I said. I forget about the positives throughout the game. I focus on the negatives, and that's a problem of mine I've got to fix. But, we had a couple of miscues on extra point again. Mm-hmm. So that was frustrating. I thought offensively, when we went back and look at film, we did some good things. Some of the problems we had is because Brainerd has some really good team speed, and really, to be honest, it surprised me a little bit how physical they were. They didn't have a whole lot of kids playing, but man, they played hard for
they did.
For the entire game. I mean, the fourth quarter, we kind of took over, and that's probably a credit to the pick sixes. Is they got a little tired and winded, and our depth helped. So. I mean, it's no secret. I mean, Walker Valley's going to see our film. They see the mistakes we made. They're going to try to, execute and capitalize on the mistakes we've been making. We've got to fix those. Each player has, they have to be self-disciplined, for the team and win their individual battle more than we lose it. But our kids should know what to do by this point, and for some reason, we're still not getting it out of them. But, hopefully that changes this week.
Well, we named Marcus Goree our player of the game on the radio. He had a touchdown reception, 17 yards from Aiden McCleary. He had a pick six, about 65 yards, played good on defense, and I thought he really came to play. And to me, he is one of those with tremendous potential, upside potential that he's already shown us how good he can be. Now you got his younger brother, Mason, I think's his name, that's on the team as well. So I know you like to build your defense around players like that, but they laid some pretty good licks on us during the game, like you said. I know I've seen some players get up very slow, Jackson Wilson, Aiden McCleary, and a bunch of others, They might have been small in staff, but man, they came to play and very competitive, I thought.
They got some. I'd say they have some Division I prospects.
Yeah.
I don't know his name. Number 10. He's about 6'5", played linebacker, like a tight end / receiver for them. I mean, if he's not on anybody's list, he needs to be. But yeah, Marcus played really well. That's what we expect out of him. He's one of the few that's going to have to play both sides of the ball. Made some big plays, and actually after Marcus made that play, they were playing man-to-man coverage on him. They doubled him the rest of the game. That's why we couldn't go to him. When a couple other guys, it's time for them to step up. And if they don't do those, if they don't make the plays that Marcus is playing, Marcus is going to see double teams all year long. It's time for somebody else to make a play, and we've got to have that, and it's got to be, effort, intensity every single play at this level, or you won't be successful, because the teams we play and the players that you play against, they're talented. Every team's well coached, so we need more people to play like Marcus.
Well, and it seems like every year throughout the season, the last 10 or 12 years especially, you've had some elite quarterbacks and with some extremely elite receivers too, and just somebody steps up every year at the receiver position. I hope we get that same thing this year. Let's take a break right now. We'll be back with more live coverage here on the Buzz 101.3, and we'll return and talk about the upcoming game with Walker Valley this Friday night. It's now the first week of 3 weeks of rivalry games. And I know you don't talk about future games, but Walker Valley this week, we'll just talk about that. They had a solid win, 37-0 over Notre Dame last week, and they'll be sky high for the Bears. You know they will be. They're on their home field. They're on their new turf and all that we'll have here in a couple more weeks and all. You know what to expect out of them. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think if you ask them, they felt like they gave it away last year and we didn't win it. And in a lot of cases we didn't. We did a lot of stuff to help them. But a lot of that was some of the problems we had because of the way they played. And I think you turn on film and they play extremely hard. They execute really well. I think their players know what their job is, offense, defense, special teams. And they do a really good job of doing what their game plan is for that particular week. So we know it's going to be a battle. It's a rivalry game. Their emotion's going to be high. Our emotion better be high. We've got to match that intensity. Or, we could end up down like we did last year. And it's a big game. We're not looking ahead. I know from a coach's standpoint what our schedule looks like after this, but it's a one-game season. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're trying to stress.
Well, Coach Akins, in his third year, seems to have gotten the team trending in the right direction there. What concerns you most about them you're the defense coordinator, what concerns you most about them on offense that you feel like you've got to focus on?
Yeah, well, there's a number of things. Number one, he knows how to attack defenses. So if you give him a certain look, then he's got a plan in place to attack that weak spot. And every defense has a weak spot. Number two is their personnel is pretty good. They've got guys. I think up front they're probably a little bit inexperienced, but I think they get the job done. I mean, they push Notre Dame around up front. And then all their skill guys, receiver kids, they do a really good job. They run the routes crisp, and I didn't see any drops. I mean, maybe one that I can think of, but they catch the ball. And then, running back, Spencer Jackson was the running back last year. Obviously, he was a force with us, when we played against him last year, so he's back. The Ryan Lake kid is very athletic. Mm-hmm. He's got a big-time arm. So from a defensive standpoint, we have got to slow down their execution. We have got to win first and second down. Now, we got them in third and long some last year. I think 4 third and longs, and they scored touchdowns. If we get them in third and long, we can't give up the big play. And they killed us on that last year. We on our blitzes last year, they knew every hot. They picked up where we were blitzing from, and they hit the hot receiver. So we've got to do a better job of messing up their execution, because they really do a good job offensively executing.
What do you expect to see their offense? Their defense. Sorry, their defense.
Yeah, they're very aggressive. They get 11 hats to the ball pretty much every play. That you can tell on film. That's something they stress. So if we don't maintain our blocks, our offensive line, this game's going to be won in the trenches. Our offensive line has to play a little bit better than they played last week. We did really good at times, and then one guy would miss their block, and that's the guy that would make the play. Their defensive line, they have a kid, number 22, Mann, I believe is his last name, plays extremely hard. He had a ton of tackles for loss. He just gave Notre Dame fits last week. So if we let that happen, we're in trouble because we won't have a lot of lost yardage. So we can't put ourselves in 3rd and long on offense. Obviously, you cannot afford to turn the ball over and give them a short field. We did that last year. Notre Dame did that this year. Some of that's to their credit. So we can't help them. Offensively, we just have to sustain drives, and can't turn the ball over, and you got to win field position.
Well, we had a very rowdy crowd down at Finley Stadium last week. We should have a big Bear Nation turnout there as well. Walk Valley have their sides packed for their supports there. And by the way, Earl and Gwen and I love those new uniforms. We can see the numbers.
Yeah.
I don't think we caught too many wrong numbers or names last week from Finley because we can see them so much better. But that's going to do it for this week's show. I'd like to thank you for being here as always on the Buzz 101.3. Pre-game coverage begins at 6 o'clock this week. That's a 7:30 kickoff now. Walk Valley 7:30 kickoff. So be sure to remember that. Thanks again, Coach. I'd like to thank Los Margaritas on 25th Street. Until next time, we say God bless and go Bears.